Seema Mehta with us from law offices of Seema Mehta, who works in the field of investor petitions. Capital at risk, which means we shouldn't expect whatever we have invested, or what was that?
When we are making an investment anywhere, it should be a proper business which is being...
Could you please walk us through the complete EB5 process?
One is 800,000, which is the lower level, and then we have 1,050,000.
What is this priority date?
Even a day in priority date makes a huge difference.
What are all the benefits if they do this AOS?
Big benefit there.
And what are all the most common misunderstandings while the petition is on pending and people are traveling?
Fewer in traveling.
The most interesting part, source of funds.
7 years of track records.
And even for NRIs, what are the most common source of funds?
So many little things are tied up to every individual.
So what triggers the most RFAs and NOIDs in this source of fund process?
Law says you can do partial funding.
While removing conditions,
Right.
what can go wrong?
While removing conditions, what goes wrong?
Everyone have this question. Does EB5 is going to end in 2027? Hey, hi. Today we have Seema Mehta with us from law offices of Seema Mehta, who works in the field of investor petitions. Hello, ma'am.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Wonderful.
Yeah. So, it's very nice to see you here. And, shall we go ahead with, few questions that relates to EB5 and all?
Definitely.
Yeah. Yeah. So, could you please introduce yourself and, your complete EB5 practice?
Well, so my name is Seema Mehta. As you just said, we are an immigration practice based out of Dallas, Fort Worth Metroplex. We have a great, wonderful team of staff. My staff is wonderful, a nice, well-accomplished team. We work primarily in the field of investor petitions, which would be EB5s, E2s, L1As.
What percentage of your work is into EB5?
The percentage, I would say right now, currently we are seeing almost 80+% of our work is EB5, other than the other regular immigrant petitions.
Okay. Ma'am, in a simple terms, what is EB5?
To simplify it completely, EB5 is essentially a program by the US government for foreign nationals to be able to invest in the United States and create jobs and get their permanent residency to live in the United States.
Okay. Ma'am, let us get into a topic called EB5 options and the investment basics. Okay.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
So, what are all the two primary EB5 routes today? Is it in a direct investment or through a regional center?
Okay, so before we reach that, for EB5 investments, we any person who wants to live here and acquire permanent residency through investments has to invest a certain sum. And what is that sum? The sum is we have two levels here. The government has assigned two levels. One is 800,000, which is the lower level, and then we have 1,050,000, which is the higher level. So now going to, you had asked me whether regional center versus direct.
Yeah.
So when we come to regional center versus direct, so this EB5 program, when it was created in 1990, it was just a matter that people come, invest, create jobs, and get permanent residency. In 1992, Congress created what is called the regional center. These are entities that are allowed by the government, authorized to collect funds collect funds for the EB5 program, make it into a broader platform so that multiple people can fund together towards one project and get permanent residency through that. So when you say direct, in simple English, it's direct. I have my money, I would put my money, it is the direct petition, I would create a business. I would follow the regulations as directed by the USCIS and get my permanent residency. So baseline is regional center is where multiple investors have pooled their funds together and are pouring all that into one project collectively. And direct would be where I feel I want more control. It's my money. I would do my own new project.
Okay, okay. And what are all the current investment amounts?
Oh, as I just said, the current investment amount, the lower level is 800,000 and the higher level is $1,050,000. Now, I'm sure the follow-up question would be why the difference and why should we give 800 at some point and $1,050,000 at another? So generally, 800 when Congress created the regional center program, the program was created in such a way that people start investing in areas of high unemployment.
Okay, okay.
Right? So that's one benefit that you get, that we are investing in an area of high unemployment. So we will be investing, instead of $1,050,000, we will be investing 800,000.
Okay.
So we have multiple categories. Maybe we can talk about it going forward. Yeah.
And ma'am, what about the capital at risk? Which means we shouldn't expect whatever we have invested, or what was that?
No. Capital at risk means that it should be a proper business. When we are making an investment anywhere, it should be a proper business which is being regulated by the market and by the businesses. If we are investing anywhere, if you were to invest tomorrow, in anything, you don't know the outcome of that, right? You might get a huge benefit and you might lose all your money. So that's simply what capital at risk means. That means that in an EB5 program, if you're doing a direct investment, of course it's your risk. You might start a business to get your permanent residency and you might lose the entire capital trying to do it. On the flip side, your business might do wonderfully well and you make a lot of money. Same goes with the regional center program. Suppose you're investing with a regional center and if the regional center says, oh, there is a guaranteed return, we are going to give your money back, you get your permanent residency and then we will get your money back in, say, 5 years, 6 years, 7 years. That then does not follow the at-risk model, because then your money is not at risk if there is a promise that you will get your funds back. But to your specific question, are you risking your money, as in are you going to lose all your money? Should you not expect your money at all? No. That is not true. You are going to do a lot of due diligence like you would do when you do your direct project. When you start any business, you are going to look at all the pros and cons. Similarly, when you work with a regional center, you're going to look at what the regional center is offering, where is the project, what does the project entail, the risk-benefit analysis like any business that you would do or any investment.
Okay. Now, could you please walk us through the complete EB5 process? I mean, from identifying a project till, someone gets a green card.
So the process would be that you would, of course, identify the process. First step would be that you realize that you wish to pursue this process, right? You make a decision that I do have my $800,000 identified, or $1,050,000 identified, and now I'm going to follow this EB5 route to get my permanent residency in the US. Next would be you start your search, which would be a two-pronged search. You would start looking for a project, let's make it three-pronged. You would start with realizing whether you're doing a direct project. Then you'd start looking into businesses that would potentially create good jobs and would be beneficial for you as well. Second would be, if suppose it's not direct, then you'd start looking at regional centers. And what kind of projects are they offering? You'll start reviewing the projects, looking at the pros and cons, as I said, of any given project. Third, in my opinion, a very important prong would be that you'd start looking for an attorney.
Okay.
Someone like myself or many other wonderful attorneys that you would look at, who could then walk you through the entire process and hold your hands to do this simple yet very complex route towards your permanent residency. The second step, after you've identified and we've collected our money, we've identified a project, we have an attorney. Now the attorney is going to file your investor petition, as we call it. It's a form called Form I-526E if you are going with the regional center, and a straightforward Form 526 if you're doing a direct investment. That would be the next step.
Okay. Okay.
I'm only talking about the investor petition right now. So in this now, if we have, once this is filed,
Okay.
you are now in line for being recognized by USCIS as a bona fide investor.
Okay.
When do you get that recognition? Is when your I-526E or 526 form is approved. At that point, the government is saying you are now an investor, a bona fide investor. We will give you the permanent residency that you are seeking. So that is your next step. And after that, you get your permanent residency, which is at the current times, you can file for this benefit of getting the permanent residency alongside your 526 forms.
Okay. Okay. Ma'am, and what is this priority date and how does that really matter for NRIs?
So priority date, and I'm assuming the greater mass of people who see this video would be from Indian origin.
Right.
So for Indian origin people, we have, given our population, all our petitions are always high in numbers. So now, coming to priority date. What is priority date is? Priority date is the date that the government assigns when they receive any particular petition from us, right? Any kind of petition, be it a family, employment, or the investor petition. The day they receive it, that is called your priority date. What does priority date mean? That means now you are in line for that particular petition. So in a month, if I file my petition on January 1st and you file it on January 3rd, my priority date is January 1st and yours would be January 3rd, meaning that tomorrow when the green cards are issued, I get it 2 days before you because I am ahead of you by 2 days.
Okay.
And given our populace, we have so many people that even a day in priority date makes a huge difference.
Okay. Okay.
A large number of people, if they are in the United States, and the people who are following the EB5 route currently, I've seen are mostly on H1Bs with EB1, EB2, EB3 dates pending, even EB1 for that matter. And they know the value of the priority date. If you are a 2013 versus a 2014, there is a sea of difference in timing for you to get permanent residence.
And what should people know about the reserved and unreserved categories and the backlogs, the realistic timelines?
Okay, so this is multiple topics. So we should talk of the reserved and the unreserved categories. So what is the reserved category? So what the government has done is we had the Reform and Integrity Act in 2022, where the EB5 regulations were rehauled and reset, and they became much better for the investor. And the government gave us a reserved category. 30% of the visas from the EB5 category were reserved for investors to invest in high unemployment areas, which was further classified into areas of which were rural, rural, of course, away from the cities, and which were high unemployment within the city, and then public interest projects, infrastructure projects, as they called it.
Okay.
So within the reserved category, USCIS has promised to do expedited processing for the investor petitions if we are investing, if an investor is investing in the rural category. So that is your question about what is rural reserved category. So this is reserved and expedited. Within the reserved, if you are investing in a rural category, you can expect expedited processing. And when we come to timelines, we'll talk of what expedited would mean. So that is that. The unreserved is the rest. If mostly it is direct investments, which could be, you could set up your business anywhere. The pros, of course, is you have control on your money to lose it or to make more of it. And the cons are that it is a longer timeline and a lot of other restrictions that we have to follow when it is a direct investment.
Okay. Ma'am, let us discuss about the petitioners within the US and outside the US.
Okay.
For example, the petitioner is already in US and he is already in F1 or L1 or H1B, and how they can do this adjustment of status, and next, what are all the benefits if they do this AOS?
Okay, wonderful. That is the most attractive part of this RIA, the Reform and Integrity Act. So, just to give you a little bit of context, before 2022, we could not file adjustment. We had to first get our 526 approved, the investor, as I said, to be called a bona fide investor.
Okay.
We needed to have that approved, and then we could file an adjustment of status or request the consulates to give us the immigrant petitions. After the RIA, after the Reform and Integrity Act, the government allowed us to do concurrent filing.
Okay.
Concurrent filing means you can concurrently file for the benefit. We are assuming that our 526E will be approved because we are filing a good petition. Our source of funds is great. Our project is wonderful. And we are assuming it will be approved. We concurrently file for the benefit that is due to us, which is we want our permanent residency. So the USCIS allowed us to file it concurrently as long as the visas are available. That means the category is current on the visa bulletin.
Okay.
Ours is a small conversation today, so that's yet another topic. There is a visa bulletin which is released every month, and where the government tells us how many visas are available in any particular category. So right now, EB5 is current. Government allows us to do concurrent filing, so we can do the filing for the adjustment of status.
Okay.
Adjustment of status means I am on an H1, I am on an F1, I am on an L1, P1, any visa, a legitimate status, a legitimate non-immigrant visa status, and please change my status to that of a permanent resident because I'm filing this investor petition, which will be approved, right? That's what we are essentially trying to say. So when the category is current and we are living in the US on a non-immigrant visa, we are able to concurrently file for our adjustment of status. When we file for adjustment of status, by law, if I am on H1 and tomorrow I filed my adjustment of status, what is the big benefit there apart from getting permanent residency, which we are seeking? The big benefit is that tomorrow, as soon as I get my receipt notice in hand, I am living in the United States without the fear of accrual of any illegal presence. I can leave my job, I can stop my F1, I can stop any other visa status. I came in as a P1. I don't want to work as a P1. I don't want to be the O1 today. We can now stay without having a different status. It does not have a category, but it is just waiting for adjudication, but not accruing any illegal presence, which is a huge benefit because that fear the sword that hangs on most people who are on any non-immigrant visa is that tomorrow, if you have an argument with your employer or something goes wrong, your health doesn't allow you to work, what are you going to do? Are you just supposed to leave the country and go back? Your kids are in school. So many little things are tied up to every individual. So filing an adjustment takes that away.
Okay.
Now, the second huge benefit of filing an adjustment of status is that we have allied benefits when we file a proper adjustment of status, and by proper we mean grounded in law. So, when we file for adjustment of status, we can also file for what is called the employment authorization, which is an allied benefit of filing adjustment of status. And we also file for what is called the advance parole.
Right.
In simple words, parole is when you are accepted in, paroled in without any problem. That yes, your status is good, you can come back to the country. Advance is beforehand. So the government is saying, we are saying, if you travel with advance parole, you can come in without any problems. In simple terms. Of course, everything has complexities at the end of it, but we are just trying to simplify it.
Yeah.
So those are the great benefits of filing concurrently, that of course, our 800,000 is going to give us permanent residency tomorrow, but that could be 2 years, 3 years. But filing concurrently for adjustment gives you the EAD and the advance parole, and the fear of being in the country and having any issues is also elevated.
Okay.
Right?
And what about for the petitioners who are outside the US?
Okay, so the petitioners who are outside the US, there's nothing like adjustment for them, right? They cannot adjust. Adjustment only means we are adjusting from one status to another. But if you're outside the country, say you are wherever, in India, let's assume India, then you would file your investor petition. And from there, once the investor petition is approved, the USCIS informs the National Visa Center that the petition is approved. National Visa Center does a few more formalities. And from there on, it sends your approval in all your documents to the US consulate in your home country, whichever is your closest consulate. And there you stand in line for an immigrant visa appointment. You get your appointment, you get your permanent residency, and you come in.
Okay. And what about for dependents, spouse, kids?
Okay, so for any US visa, we always have, other than B1, B2, to correct myself, that is a visitor's visa, which is individual. But for any US visa, every primary applicant has the benefit of having their family with them. And by family, you mean your spouse, which could be husband or wife, and your children who are under the age of 21.
Okay. And ma'am, when can this EB5 applicants, typically expect EAD and the advance parole?
Yeah, the timeline. I think we bypassed that question. So for timelines, I can give you the timelines for as they exist today, right? If we were doing this just before, say, 3 months, I would have given you a different timeline. The timelines are pretty volatile. They keep changing. What has remained consistent in this whole program is the 526E adjudications of the rural category. Remember, we just talked that rural category, the government promised expedited processing.
Yes.
That I have seen has remained consistently good. As in, we are seeing approvals within 6 months through 13 to 14 months. Those could be there is an RFE or there are some issues. So let's go through the timeline in a more refined manner. Suppose we filed a petition on day 1. So within the first 30 to 60 days, you would be expecting all your receipt notices.
Okay.
And I'm assuming here that we are talking of a concurrent filing. So we have our 526, 485, 765, and 131. So we get all our receipts. In the month 2 to 3, by the 3rd month, you would get your biometrics notice.
Okay. Okay.
I'm sure there'd be people listening who'd be like, oh, my biometrics came after 5 months instead of the 3 months that you're saying. And that happens occasionally that, depending on workload, things can go up and down.
Yeah.
So by 3 months, you have your biometrics done. Now starts a wait game. Now you have your, now you'll be waiting for your EAD and your advance parole. EAD is currently, in today's time, we are seeing EADs going north of 8 months.
Okay.
8 months to 11 months is my legitimate take on the timeline for EAD and advance parole. They go hand in hand.
Okay.
The 526, as I said, has remained within that period of 6 months through 13, 14 months. So that is the timeline for that. Once your 526 is approved and your category is current on the visa bulletin, you can expect your permanent residency to come through within 4 to 6 months of that.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Ma'am, like what are all the most common misunderstandings while the petition is on pending and people are traveling?
Oh, one is these days there is such a huge fear in traveling.
Mm-hmm.
I have, again, I only talk with my own experiences
Mm-hmm.
with a large client group, which might not all be EB5s. We've never had any problems. As long as your visa is good, your H1 is good, the baseline petitions are good, you have no fear in traveling. For EB5 petitioners, the investors, the most common question is, if I travel out on EAD and I come back, will I lose my H1B? The law is there is a gray area here. There is no clear directive. There is an old memo that we refer to where I don't remember which officer's memo that was, but where they had very clearly said that if you traveled on advance parole and came back, you should not lose your H1B as long as the H1B was still stamped on your passport and it was current. You could apply for an extension. I personally would want people to travel on advance parole and come back on advance parole and then go to the EAD so that we don't fall into any gray area. Either you stay on your H1B, travel out on H1B, come back on H1B, keep your advance parole in hand, EAD in hand, or you start working on EAD, travel on advance parole.
Okay. Okay.
Was that your question?
Yes.
Or are you, a lot of people ask me about if they have H1B and they have filed for advance parole,
Mm-hmm.
can they travel?
Mm-hmm.
Now, if the advance parole is not approved yet and you travel out, the USCIS considers that you have abandoned your advance parole.
Right.
So
Right.
you would travel out, come back because your H1B is stamped on the passport. Once you come back, we have to file a new advance parole.
Right.
Okay?
Right. Yes.
So that's that.
Yeah. Now let's come to the most interesting part: source
Okay.
of funds.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So, ma'am, what exactly does USCIS require for a lawful source of funds?
Okay. USCIS is pretty straightforward in what they require for lawful source of funds. By law, we are supposed to submit 7 years of track records. By track record, it would mean that you would, suppose it is me filing for an investor petition, myself. What would I do? I would have to inform USCIS how I made my 800,000
Right.
to make an investment. I'm assuming I'm doing 800,000 and not the 1,050,000. So we have to explain how we got our 800,000. And for that, I would give them my tax returns. If I'm employed somewhere, I would give them my W-2s to show that I was employed.
Mm-hmm.
Every year I was making such and such amount. I would give them my latest pay stubs to show that I am consistently getting the salary.
Okay.
I would show them my bank statements to show that my salary is being deposited. And apart from what I use for my daily use,
Okay.
here are my bank statements. See how I'm investing my money in last 7 years. It is gone, what has gone into my 401k, if I've invested in stocks, if I have created cash deposits, if I've bought some land, bought some properties,
Okay.
anything and everything that we've owned in past 7 years. I personally feel I like to present that to USCIS to show them our financial net worth, that, I own this much. So 800 should not be a problem for me.
Okay. And what is this money trail concept?
Money trail concept. There's no money trail concept. What we mean is we have to show the source of funds for the full 800,000. So when you say trail, we keep going back. Obviously, if I am employed at a salary of 200,000, I will not collect my 800,000 with this 200,000 this year, right? I must have collected my 800,000 going back a few years, right? So we trail it back to when we collected our 800,000. So we generally keep going back to see when we make a sum total and it is 800,000, and that is our trail.
Okay. Ma'am, and even for NRIs, what are the most common source of funds, whether from salary or a business, or from from their parents, or from India, or from gift, loan? What are all the possible source of fund options?
Okay, so yeah, from India, I'll talk of India. India, I see, of course, salary, as we just talked about someone being employed. Same documentation, same salaried people everywhere are the same.
Yes.
They pay their taxes, they get their salaries, it goes into their accounts, they will invest in some stocks and do some CDs, and that's the sum total.
Right.
Otherwise, you would have business income. If you have businesses, you would have a business income. A lot of people in India these days, within the clientele, we see a lot of property sale, where they sell some properties that they must have bought in the prior years.
Okay.
They would sell that property and send that money across. They would take loans against their properties, which could be whatever real estate they take a loan against. A lot of people take inheritance. Your grandfather gave you a lot of money. A lot of people do gifts, where somebody has given you a substantial gift. 800 is a substantial amount. So those are the common routes that we see from India. Also, same things. Wherever you are, whichever country, the source of funds remains the same. You would sell some stocks, you would liquidate a CD, you would sell a property, get a loan. Those are the standard things everywhere.
Okay, and what documents usually it will make smooth in the process?
Documentation, of course, it is a very individual question, individual things. But if it is a property, we have to say how the property was bought, what was the source of funds to buy the property. If you feel no, but my dad bought some property in 1987. We still want to go in and explain how he bought the property in 1987. Was it an inheritance? How did he get it? Was he making money at that time? Did his father give him money at that time? So that goes for property, whether we are taking a loan against a property or we are selling the property. We have to explain those things. What are the documents? If you have stocks, I generally would get into how did we purchase these stocks? Right? We have stocks sitting in our accounts. We sold those stocks and we made our 800, clean and clear. But the question is, how did I buy those stocks?
Okay, the source of purchase.
So where did I get that money? That could have just come from some source which is not legitimate.
Right.
When we were in law school, we used to call it fruit of a poisonous tree. So the fruits have to be from good trees. Right. So we have to go back to see the source of the funds. That is where this whole term of source of funds comes from.
Okay. I'm like, what triggers the most RFAs and NOIDs in this source of fund process?
What triggers RFEs could, of course, be the mood of the officer, which is not true. Generally, there is something that triggers an RFE in the current time. And I cannot stress it enough, because this has become a common trend where people are doing partial funding.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
People have fund availability of, say, 200,000, and they know that they can get the 800,000 tomorrow from whichever sources. So they do their funding with 200,000. The regional centers and the projects, of course, have this provision because the law says you can do partial funding, which is, we start with the partial funding and then they promise to do funding within, say, 6 months.
Okay. Okay.
Now, as we just talked, the petitions are being picked for adjudication within 6 to 12 months, 12, 15.
Okay.
If the petition was picked at the 6th month,
Okay.
and your fully funded supplement, the documents proving
Okay.
that you've done full funding have not reached the USCIS,
Okay.
at that point, they will issue an RFE.
Mhm.
And when they're issuing an RFE, then whatever little questions they have, you've submitted your tax returns for 5 years, maybe missed out on one.
Okay. Okay.
You've submitted your bank statements where there are some transactions with the government felt were odd or awkward. They can then add all of that in that RFE and come back to you. So that is the partial funding RFEs that I have seen. Because, when you complete your full funding, say I completed my full funding within the given 6 months period.
Okay.
At the end of my 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm going to give my documents to the attorney to file. Okay, please send out the supplement. The attorneys are going to take their time. They have their own caseloads. They will say take 6, 8, 12. I've seen attorneys taking 20 weeks.
Okay.
So
okay.
now this timeline has gone to 10 months. So within that, you will definitely get an RFE. The other factors for RFEs which we see have been where we have not given the precise source of funds, primarily for land sales and property sales, which I've had a few, especially if the property is in a foreign nation.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We've had a few RFEs. Again, I always talk of my own experience. We've had RFEs where properties were purchased, say, in Canada. We've had some coming from the Middle East, India. So how was the property purchased and, where did the funding come from?
Okay, okay. Ma'am, and even regarding the I-829,
Mm-hmm.
while removing conditions,
Right.
what can go wrong?
While removing conditions, what goes wrong? We've never had anything go wrong thus far,
Mm-hmm.
with God's grace. But what can go wrong is that your project did not create jobs as promised. That's the biggest prong of it.
Okay.
That your money was not sustained as promised. There are so many different topics within EB5 to discuss, but there is something called sustainment period. The money was not sustained.
Okay.
So that can lead to a denial. Sometimes, not always, USCIS can go back into your source of funds and come back saying, there was something missing in the source of funds, and they can deny based on that. Primarily, it would be the project.
Okay, okay. The project underperforms or the regional center?
Underperformance would not matter.
Mm-hmm.
What would matter is, suppose the project didn't do any building, right? Where the project has to do the work. The project does not necessarily have to be a success.
Okay,
right?
okay.
I said my project is going to make a huge hotel and I'm going to sell it. Maybe after I made my hotel, the location went bust and nobody is buying my hotel. So that is a different part of it. My hotel was built. That means my investors' money went in and the jobs were created. So those are, so those are the things based on a project is where your fear should be for 829s.
Okay, okay. Ma'am, for all the NRIs who are watching this podcast,
Mm-hmm.
so what are all the 3 main aspects that you would stress them, before they investing into something or, they want to sign on some contract?
The 3 most important things. Of course, the first would be a very clean and clear source of funds.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
You know your source of funds. Everyone knows whether they have clean source of funds or not. Everyone knows it. And as long as you have that, that is your first prong. Most important thing to remember. Second would be absolute due diligence into where you are putting your money. It is not all about getting your permanent residency. When one is investing 800,000 of your savings,
Okay, okay.
you don't want to lose that. You want to make sure wherever you put in, you get your permanent residency and you get your money back eventually. And then the third prong would be getting a good attorney on your side who understands the complexities of this particular petition.
Yes. And everyone have this question. Does EB5 is going to end in 2027?
Yes. Yes, we get that a lot. So as I told you earlier, that EB5 per se, when the law was created, is not something that will end. But the regional center program keeps going in a cycle.
Okay.
And the Reform and Integrity Act was made for 5 years. It is supposed to end on the 30th of September 2027. What that means is that EB5, as we know it, the regional center program, will no more exist from 30th September 2027 onwards, but by and large, it comes back in about a few days, few months, it comes back. Sometimes within a day, it comes back, and then we can keep investing. Within this program, the government has said within the RIA by regulation that if anyone files their investor petitions before the 30th of September 2026, not 27, 2026, then you're grandfathered within this law. That means, suppose after 30th September 2027, the regional center program is shut down forever. 0.01% chance of that, but suppose it happens. Even then, you are good because you filed before 30th September 2026. Or after the next year, when it's about to shut, the government says now the amount is going to be $1 million, not 800. So what happens to the people who have put in 800? They are already grandfathered, means they are secure under the law as it existed when they filed.
Okay. Right? So this is the grandfathering.
Yes. That is called grandfathering under that law.
Okay. So they can file before it ends.
They should file before 30th September 2026. Then there'll be 1 year wait period where you can keep filing direct petitions. You can keep filing your petitions, but will they be grandfathered under the same law? We cannot say, because the cutoff date for grandfathering, for taking your petition under this current law, is 30th September 2026.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for joining us today. This was really a very insightful conversation, and also I appreciate you, breaking down the complete EB5 process so clearly to our audience. Thank you so much.